Peak fishery today's Northumberland on scene.
A second winter storm in less than a week blanketed much of Quebec and Ontario on the weekend, exhausting overworked city-clearing crews, prompting flight cancellations and stranding passengers, many of whom were traveling to places specifically to escape the cold. By Sunday afternoon, hundreds of flights had been canceled at Toronto's two airports and those in Montreal and Ottawa as a result of the weekend storm. Environment Canada had issued a winter storm warning across southern Ontario and Quebec on Saturday. On Sunday at Toronto Pearson International Airport, as a blizzard battered the city outside, many travelers were grim but calm. Most of those gathered at the departure gates had heeded weather warnings and arrived well ahead of their scheduled departures, but not everyone was living with hope. Tom James and Dorothy Santos were among those weighing their options after a canceled flight caused them to miss the departure of their cruise ship in Miami. Despite their best efforts to avoid the weather-related stress, they were left scrambling, looking for any flight that would take them somewhere warm.
We are currently dealing with 3 vehicles.
Their original flight had been scheduled to leave at 9:40 a.m. on Sunday. In anticipation of the weather, Ms. Santos said they came to the airport at 6 a.m. on Saturday to try and get on an earlier flight. When that didn't work out, she said they went home and returned on Sunday at 4 a.m. to try their luck with the original flight.
And again,
They made it all the way to their gate before the chaos they were anticipating struck, said Mr. James. Over the intercom, the Porter employee manning the check-in desk for their flight told them it had been canceled and rescheduled for Tuesday, about halfway through the cruise they were supposed to be on. Everything seemed good right up until it was boarding time, and they made an announcement, and the girl making the announcement started crying because everybody came up to yell at her, he said. Without travel insurance, Mr. James said the missed cruise would cost them $3,500. Luckily, he said the travel benefits credit card company that they booked through is willing to refund them $2,500. Jennifer Slay was another affected traveler at Pearson Airport on Sunday afternoon. Originally scheduled to depart for North Carolina at 2 p.m., the social worker on her way to a conference said she received an email Saturday night saying her flight was canceled. However, she had been rebooked on another flight for around 7 p.m. the same day.
Right now, in front of the Home Hardware, in front of
Focused on her laptop and with a book propped open on her suitcase, Ms. Slay made the best of a bad situation. The airline, in all honesty, they can't help the weather. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Toronto Pearson posted on X that the airport had accumulated more than 12 centimeters of snow as of 8 a.m. on Sunday and was expecting another 15 centimeters by the end of the day. In Quebec, snow began falling Saturday evening and started to intensify early Sunday. Environment Canada said conditions were expected to rapidly deteriorate, adding that accumulating snow and blowing snow could make travel in some areas hazardous. Maya Vodanovic, mayor of Lachine, Quebec, and a member of the City of Montreal's executive committee charged with snow removal, said that by Sunday the city already had 80 centimeters of snow so far in February, nearly double the more typical 42 centimeters a month. The concentrated precipitation, she said, is a new phenomenon in climate change. She said the past 5 years have seen a shift in weather patterns in the region whereby January and February saw a much greater, concentrated share of the precipitation that usually falls on a more gradual level from November through March. There's practically no rest for our teams, she said, although under provincial law workers are obliged to have a 24-hour break, which prompted a negative reaction from some citizens on Saturday. Some snow removal operators are also contending with another challenge, a road salt shortage. Joe Salemi, executive director with Landscape Ontario, which represents 3,000 out of an estimated 8,000 snow removal contractors in the province, said operators, who typically order their salt months in advance, have had a number of smaller snow events earlier this winter, prompting non-municipal operators to salt repeatedly to prevent slips and falls. It's probably something we'll have to deal with in the next couple of weeks, with contractors starting to ration their salt use, he said, noting the problem has popped up across the eastern seaboard, with similar shortages reported in western New York State communities near Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. Many schools across Quebec have canceled classes and the public has been asked to avoid non-essential travel, as snow clearing operations continue during blizzard conditions. Environment Canada issued a blowing snow advisory for Montreal along with the St. Lawrence Valley, the Laurentians, the Eastern Townships, and the Beauce. Winds of 60 to 90 kilometers per hour are causing reduced to near-zero visibility and widespread blowing snow, according to Environment Canada, meaning there could be poor visibility across up to 800 meters for at least 3 hours. The weather resulted in 226 flight cancellations out of Montreal's International Airport on Sunday. As of 9:30 a.m. on Monday, 94 flights of 500 at Trudeau Airport were canceled. The storm dropped about 40 centimeters of snow on Laval, 39 centimeters on Montreal, and up to 35 centimeters in the eastern townships as of 1 a.m. on Monday. In Montreal, snow is expected to continue into the morning, making travel hazardous. English school boards and French language school service centers in the Greater Montreal area announced that classes would be canceled at primary and high schools on Monday due to snow. However, Quebec City schools operated by the Centre de Services Scolaires de la Capitale will be open and maintain regular activities today despite the blowing snow advisory, according to a news statement published early Monday morning. The City of Montreal has asked residents to work from home on Monday, if possible, and leave their houses only for essential travel and use public transportation. Tips on how to ride out the blizzard, including making sure emergency exits around dwellings are cleared, are available on the City of Montreal website. With snow removal operations on Montreal streets resuming, drivers should look out for no parking signs and move their cars accordingly, said city spokesperson Philippe Sabourin. But clearing sidewalks will have to wait, Sabourin said, because there is no way our little trucks will have access. The snow will have to be blown away by the blower, so we're doing our best to go as fast as we can. He added that the cleanup will take more than a week. We will have 3,000 workers, but of course it will be a long journey. We'll need 8 days minimum. He also urged Montrealers to avoid dumping their garbage directly in piles of snow as it could damage snowblowers and slow down city crews. If possible, residents should wait until next week to take out garbage bins to the curb, he said. Montreal city spokesperson, Philippe Sabourin, said it'll take days before plows can clear 11,000 kilometers of streets. Crews will start by pushing the snow out of the way of traffic. We will come back to grab those piles of snow. For sure it's going to take weeks to complete the loading operation, so everyone will have to be patient, he said. Many daycares, along with English and French language primary and high schools, in the Greater Montreal area are closed on Monday due to snow. Police have been urging motorists to avoid non-essential travel. Sabourin advised people to work from home if they can on Monday because the province does not observe a public holiday like some other provinces. In Western Canada, extreme cold warnings remained in effect on Monday in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Wind chill values around -40 Celsius to -45 Celsius are expected to continue into midweek. The Weather Service said that by mid-morning Monday, Key Lake in north-central Saskatchewan was the country's cold spot at a chilly -48.5 Celsius. Environment Canada said temperatures will begin to rise by Thursday in those three provinces. They'll still be in double-digit negative territory in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, but increase to only a few degrees below zero by Friday. Temperatures will be on the plus side in southern Alberta starting Thursday. Across the Maritimes on Sunday, it was snow, high winds, and freezing rain. Central and northern New Brunswick was expected to get more than 35 centimeters of snow, and a freezing rain warning was in effect in Nova Scotia. 2 fire trucks slid off the road en route to a call on Sunday, and one of them ended up on its side in Queens County, southwest of Halifax. Slippery conditions in the Halifax were continuing on Monday for the province's public holiday, Heritage Day. Winds in that area will also range from 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, except up to 110 kilometers per hour along exposed areas of the Bay of Chula Coast, including the Acadian Peninsula. Environment Canada says visibility may be suddenly reduced to near zero at times in heavy and blowing snow. In Lower St. Lawrence, a winter storm warning is calling for snowfall amounts of 35 to 55 centimeters through to Tuesday morning. Strong winds of up to 70 kilometers per hour could produce widespread blowing snow.
This is Highway 11.
A wind warning is in effect for most of Nova Scotia, calling for up to 90 kilometers per hour winds. High winds are expected to continue through to Tuesday for most areas. Cape Breton's Inverness County, Mabu and North is under a winter storm warning. The warning is calling for 20 to 35 centimeters of snow, with higher amounts possible over the highlands. A southwesterly wind of 90 kilometers per hour is also expected in that area of the island later in the day Monday, shifting to a westerly 80 kilometers per hour wind on Tuesday.
That's today's snowfall.
All of Prince Edward Island is under a wind warning, calling for a southwesterly wind near 100 kilometers per hour. Environment Canada says the wind is expected to develop Monday morning and continue through to Tuesday morning.
I'm 5.
Loose objects may be tossed by the wind and cause injury or damage. High winds may result in power outages and fallen tree branches, reads the warning. Thousands of Maritimers were without power Monday morning after high winds led to outages across all 3 maritime provinces. As of 11:50 a.m., Nova Scotia Power was reporting 62 active outages affecting 1,288 customers. Restoration times range from noon until early Tuesday morning. NB Power was reporting 4 outages affecting 257 customers as of 11:50 a.m. The bulk of those outages are in the Fredericton area. Maritime Electric was reporting 1,109 customers without power throughout PEI as of 11:50 a.m. The Halifax Regional Municipality is enforcing its overnight winter parking ban, which will be in effect between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. Tuesday in both Zone 1, Central, and Zone 2, Non-Central. The City of St. John, NB, is also enforcing its overnight parking ban for the South Central Peninsula. The city says the ban will take effect at 11 p.m. Monday and end at 7 a.m. Tuesday. This means there is no on-street parking allowed anywhere in the area. This will allow for safe and efficient snow plowing operations, reads a social media post from the city. Vehicles remaining on street when a parking ban has been declared will be ticketed and or towed at the owner's risk and expense. Marine Atlantic has canceled crossings between North Sydney, Nova Scotia, and Port aux Basques, Newfoundland, on Monday. Bay Ferries says the Fundy Rose ferry that travels between St. John and Digby is canceled Monday due to high winds. The company says it is monitoring conditions for Tuesday's sailings. The Englishtown Ferry and Tancook Island Ferry in Nova Scotia have both been suspended due to the weather. The Confederation Bridge website says high winds on Monday may result in restrictions of traffic. Meanwhile, major airports in New York, Newark, and Washington, D.C. saw around 40% of their flights delayed on Sunday, totaling over 2,000, per data from FlightAware. Around 850 flights were canceled. Nearly half of flights departing Boston and Toronto were also delayed, around 260 at each airport, according to FlightAware. The National Weather Service warned of wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, while parts of Boston saw 6 inches of snowfall. The Midwest was also struck by the polar vortex, with temperatures in the low single digits. Strong winds could also make it feel as low as negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit, CBS Chicago reported. Around 1,000 flights were delayed at Chicago O'Hare, including half of those departing, FlightAware data showed. 2/3 of Detroit's departing flights were also delayed. Bad weather also impacted flights on Saturday, with more than 70% of flights from Denver delayed.
They've plowed and it's still...
Further south, Florida was hit by thunderstorms over the weekend. The National Weather Service also issued a tornado watch. Over 1,000 flights were delayed across the state on Sunday, including 2 in every 5 at Orlando and 1/3 of those at Miami, per FlightAware. Its data also showed more than 500 departing flights, or half of those scheduled, were delayed at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson, the world's busiest airport and a hub for Delta Airlines. In Atlanta, wind gusts peaked at 69 miles per hour and 1 man died when a tree fell on his home, a local Fox affiliate reported. Flight delays can be irritating for passengers, but also costly for airlines, with knock-on effects on their schedules. Delays are continuing into Monday, though as of around 6 a.m. Eastern Time, they were much less widespread, with only around 20 flights out of Toronto Pearson delayed, and fewer than 10% of flights delayed at most major East Coast airports.
Oh, that's so good.